Spring is here, and that means many more people are heading out into the wild areas of southwest Montana. Spring also means bears are out looking for food. This week in Fish and Wildlife, we share a few safety tips to make sure the two groups don't mix.
This week in Fish and Wildlife, sponsored by your local Montana Toyota dealers.
Thursday morning time once again for This Week in Fish and Wildlife. We're once again at Region 3 headquarters. Joining us this morning, Morgan Jacobsen. Little creatures behind us are starting to roam around right now, and it's one of those things as folks are getting that bug to get out, you encourage them to do so, but there's some things they should keep in mind.
That's right. So, bears are active, for the majority of the year, and so are we. We want to be outside, and we live in a beautiful place, but we want people to be aware of that we do live in bear country. We have black bears and grizzly bears here in this part of Montana, and so there's some things that we want people to be aware of while they're out enjoying the outdoors and enjoying wildlife.
Yeah, and some of those things are just obvious, but I think it's important to talk about some of those again. There are certain things you should take with you. Maybe first and foremost, your brain. I don't know how else to word that. Yeah. Common sense goes a long way.
It does, yeah. A lot of just being safe, not just with bears, but in any situation, is just using common sense. When it comes to bears and recreating in bear country, one of the top things that we'd recommend for people is to carry and to know how to use bear spray, and being prepared in that regard. Bear spray is widely available, and it's becoming less expensive, and so carrying bear spray is the top thing. Another thing that we encourage people to do is to travel and recreate in groups. That's all part of making your presence known and not having a surprise encounter with bear. That's where a lot of the negative encounters happen, is when it's a surprise situation. Especially if you run into a sow with cubs, sows can get very protective, and so going in groups, carrying bear spray, making your presence known, and just being vigilant is a big part of being safe.
And I know, as always, if you are out and you do see bear in some area that you're at, you folks at Fish, Wildlife, and Parks like to know about that as well.
Yeah, for grizzly bears especially. We have lots of black bears as well. If there's a bear, for example, that's in a campground or near a populated area, yeah, for sure we'd like to hear about it. Going along with that, another important factor in bear safety is food storage, that goes for when you're camping versus if you live on the outskirts of town. Making your living space bear safe and secure is important. So securing food if you're camping, secured in a bear safe container. Securing your garbage away from your campsite.
Yeah, they're a big animal and it takes a lot of food to fill them. And this time of year, especially coming out of the hibernation, the dormancy time, they're going to be looking for a lot of food, and we don't need to help them out with our stuff.
Right, and that brings up a good point. Is that this is a very active time of year for wildlife. There's a lot of migration going on. And since we're coming out of winter, we also have there's some carcasses that from animals that didn't survive the winter. Bears might be interested in those. So if you see a carcass of a dead animal, it's important to stay away from those too, because they can be good bear attractants.
That's perfect. Again, Morgan Jacobsen joining us this morning, and that's This Week in Fish and Wildlife.
This Week in Fish and Wildlife was brought to you by Toyota. Let's go places.